What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechWhat Solutions. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day. My name's Ricky. If you guys don't know who it is that I am, I have a little bit over 125,000 subscribers within my YouTube platform. And then I also have a little bit over 90,000 members within my free trading community. So if you've ever wanted to surround yourself with like-minded individuals, click that third link in the description and learn a little bit more about me and my private group. It's absolutely free. We offer one of the fastest growing free networking platforms, as well as a private group chat for those that are part of TechWhat Solutions. That's 100% for free as well. Now, if you want to trade with me and speak to me every single day and want access to my lesson library, that's going to be the first link in the description. I'll be talking about that in just 1 second, but let's talk about today's day. Okay, Google, pause. So today was a red day, right? There's no question about that. I just wanted to make this video to remind everyone that these red days are inevitable, right? Especially if you're investing in the stock market or if you're investing or wanting to become an investor in general. But it's how you manage that risk and how you act after you experience these red days that I think label investors or in a sense, identify those investors that are going to be successful and those that don't. If you let these red days discourage you, or you don't have a plan when investing to manage loss or to cut losses in any way, then I think that is going to be one of the first mistakes that you are going to want to avoid. But if you can manage your risk, right? So if you can keep your losses smaller than your profits, and you can continuously grow your account on a consistent basis, even if you take 2 losses for every 1 green trade, right? As long as your profits are about let's say they offer that 5-to-1 ratio. So they offer every 5% potential for profit. There's a 1% potential for loss. I can take 2 losses and 1 green trade. I could take 3 losses and 1 green trade. But as long as I focus on quality trades, then I should be able to end, the week, the month, the year on a green note, right? Because the numbers make sense. But it's making sure that you're trading quality stocks. I wanted to make this video to remind you guys that taking red days is all part of the game. And it's the way that we act after this that is going to label us as either successful or not successful investors. So I wanted to talk about some stocks that were on my watch list, how I was able to, wow, bro, you're talking super fast. I apologize. It's, I get super excited. So I do apologize. There's like a little button after this video posts, because right now I'm live. As you guys can see on this hand side, there's people that are tuning in live. So if you ever want to tune in live, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on that little bell right next to it, and you'll get alerted. And you can always, we go live every single day. But there's going to be like a little thing that you can click that will slow this video down. And some people like to do that just so I guess they could understand me a little bit more. But I'm going to start sharing my screen. I'm using the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform. I'm going to start showcasing a couple of the patterns I was able to identify. There were some breakup patterns. So JDST did experience somewhat of a pullback. I'm going to talk about a topic that, I have my private group, which is the first link. It's the Learn, Plan, Profit, lesson library. And I was speaking to my private group today, and we were covering this pattern for /NG and for /GC, the gold-based futures and the natural gas futures, and what happened, right? We were doing so well, and it just came down to really, it just didn't perform. It did perform the way that we expected it to, but I'm going to give me 1 second. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm looking at. Again, the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform. This is what I use. This is not what you have to use. If you like it, great. If you don't, then 100%, you don't have to use it. But you could Google it. I have videos on this already. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about, first of all, OSTK. So OSTK was a pattern that we called out that was showing signs of this uptrend pattern. It broke above, and we got the confirmation that it's trending up above this 180-day EMA. So this one ended up being green. But look at my watches. This is my active watches of stocks that were supposedly actively trending up. And you see a majority of them are red. But again, it's all part of the game. It's nitpicking the ones and choosing to invest in the ones that you see the most value in for the rest of the week. That's the whole point of planning out your trades and investing in good quality stocks. That's your what's it called? That's your task, right? That's, as an investor, you need to make sure that out of all the stocks on your watch list, that you pick 1 or 2 stocks that is going to keep you in the green for the week, right? And if you don't see anything, then you simply don't have to take a position this week. If you don't see anything that you see value in, then don't worry about it. So it bounced at $40, started showing signs of an uptrend pattern, and today did have a green day. It did push up. Now, what I do want to follow up with is I want to make sure that OSTK continues to hold and builds this cup and handle pattern. So again, it builds this like little cup. I would like to see this break above $50 and continue to actively trend up. Again, how do you know when something is actively trending up? 2 things. When it continues to break resistance levels, so it continues to make higher highs, And when it pulls back, because pullbacks are inevitable, and what that means is, let's say it hits $50, it pulls back and bounces at around 48. It's going to pull back, but as long as the pullbacks are higher than the previous pullback, so the previous support, so it makes higher lows, then that is signs of an uptrend pattern, this uptrend staircase pattern. And that's what I would like to see with OSTK, for it to continue seeing this upward staircase pattern, which I truly do believe that it can complete, with understanding that the overall resistance is going to be very close to this SMA indicator. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about was very quickly, I'm just going to talk about the patterns that we saw for /NG and for /GC. So I trade a lot of ETFs, right? One of the ETFs that I was really excited to trade was UGAS. And the reason why, if you guys were like following me on Instagram, again, my link is down below if you guys don't follow me. Me and a couple of the traders were looking at the natural gas futures, and it was doing very well. It was doing exactly what we wanted it to do. And what is that? The pattern that I identified, if you guys remember, I was labeling the SMA indicator as a support, and I identified the EMA indicator as a resistance. And I was hoping, again, this is the risk that you take by holding something over the weekend. So futures do trade over the weekend, right? Unlike the stock market's not open over the weekend, but futures are active over the weekend. And because of that, just to put into perspective, on Friday, the market closed at around like 270. It had a little bit of a pullback over the weekend, and then it pushed up and made new highs to 271. That would have meant that you guys would have opened green. But because, if you look at the time that it opened, it won't show you, so we have to go on the 1 day, 1 minute. If you look at the time that it pushed up that 271, I was awake at this time. No, it was, where's the time? I thought it was 2 o'clock. It was 2 to 3 o'clock. I remember, I stayed up very late last night because I was editing a video that's going to be live today. You guys are going to love it. And it's a video of me. You guys will watch it. It has to do with my McLaren. But it pushed up, hit highs of 271, and I was like, perfect. And then I saw it starting to get rejected. I passed out, so I saw it hit 271, and I saw a little bit of a pullback, and I fell asleep. I woke up, and there was this huge sell-off. And this is what happens, because when the market opens, UGAS and DGAS will reflect whatever the price of like these futures are, right? Because it's directly correlated to that. So with that understanding, if the market would have opened when natural gas was at 271, we would have seen UGAS open up green. But because there was this huge sell-off right before the market opens at 6:30, right, Mountain Standard Time, huge sell-off, we opened up red. And it tried to do this recovery, and if you look at the natural gas futures, it really struggled to break above that middle VWAP, and it just was not able to recover. Same thing happened with /GC. Now, /GC, if we go on this 1 day, 1 minute chart, a pattern that we've identified, first of all, /GC is in correlation to JNUG, and we were investing in JDST, which is the inverse ETF of JNUG. So because /GC, which is a gold future, was actively trending down, right, just like we said it was actively trending down, it made new lows, so it was perfect, 1307. We said it could potentially hit 1305, maybe 1300, hit 1307, so we were very close, but it did this before the market opened, and then it started to pull back up. It started to recover before the market opened, and that's why it's so important to understand that, yes, although it does have the potential to complete and sell off, if it has the sell-off and then starts to recover before the market even opens, and it ends up opening, /GC ends up opening higher than it previously closed at because of the recovery process, then JNUG is going to open up green and JDST is going to open up red. And although if the market would have opened, at this price point when, /GC was at 1307, JDST would have opened at like $61 most likely. But no, like $61 or $62. But because of the sell-off and then this recovery, unfortunately, when it came down to the overall pattern for JDST, do you see this continuous uptrend pattern? It had a huge sell-off. Now, one of two things. Well, let's look at the 1 day, 1 minute chart. Ended up hitting highs of like 60.50 and then continued to have that sell-off. This is something that I wanted to cover. JDST is still showing signs of this ascending uptrend bull flag pattern. Do you guys see this? Overall resistance at $60, continuous uptrend pattern, and it had this sell-off, and now we want to see, is it going to validate this ascending support line? So what I'm going to wait for, it's right around $57.93. I want to see if it could actually hold above $58, and from $58 to $60, it's not huge margins, but it's enough for a potential day trade. From $58 to potentially $60, in my opinion, 3 point almost 5%. That's worth a potential day trade, right? If I invest $10,000, that's $350 that I can make on a quick day trade. If I invest $20,000, that's about $700 that I can make on a quick day trade. But it's if you see value in it, and if the pattern makes sense to you, and if it doesn't, 100% don't trade it. These are not any stock or ETF suggestions. You should only invest in what makes sense to you. The reason that I see value in it is not just because it had a sell-off, but because of this ascending uptrend pattern with this overall resistance at $60. Now I'm just going to wait for the bounce and the indication that this thing is going to start trending up. But also take into consideration that we're going against the pattern right now. So right now what I expect for forward/GC is for it to start to recover and get very close to this EMA indicator. So potentially, SMA indicator, sorry. So potentially forward/GC can still push up even more, which would mean that it would be smarter to focus on investing in JNUG because that thing is actively trending up, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, JNUG ended up green. It looks like there might be a little bit more room, maybe hitting at around $13.50 to $14. But you also have to understand that JNUG has a very strong descending pattern, which is not something that I personally find very attractive. So I might be a little bit more patient, wait for JDST, wait for forward/GC to hit that SMA indicator. So we can go here. So I might wait a little bit more as based off previous patterns. You see every time that it hits this green line right here, it gets rejected, gets rejected, gets rejected. Now I'm going to wait for it to get a little bit closer, wait for it to get rejected, and then I'll invest in in JDST because I know that's the inverse and I can ride that. I hope that makes sense. But that is pretty much it. I wanted to quickly cover the patterns that we were talking about and how important it is that although ETFs are very consistent and very easy to understand, let's see. Very consistent, very easy to understand. It is very important to understand the risk that you take on by holding these ETFs overnight or over the weekend when what's it called? When these futures can continue to trade, and if they complete the pattern that you saw for a potential sell-off, so you can profit off of that, then unfortunately, if it completes this pattern before the market even opens, unfortunately, like you missed your chance on this. Like I missed my chance on /NG and /GC, and those were the ones that I was really excited to trade today. So I just wanted to make a follow-up video talking about some potential trades that are coming up, right? So I talked about something very quickly, yeah, just trying to stay positive, right? There's no question that we all are going to experience red trades. I did not close still any red positions. I am in a position right now, and I am red, and that's my UGAS position. I think I told you guys. So on Friday, when I set my limit order to cover profits on UGAS, I think it was like, what was it, like 84 shares or something were available, did not fill. So I sold the majority of my shares, but it literally was 1 minute before the market closed. 84 shares were still left in my position. And unfortunately, I got stuck with those 84 shares, but because I had more buying power when it had this sell-off, again, I don't buy the dips, I buy when it starts to recover. But so I did end up buying like when it sold off. One thing that I did not notice is I did not go to natural gas and see that resistance that middle VWAP line was showing. I just went based off of the pattern that you guys was showing and the potential recovery on that. So what's going on, Gucci? Okay, so let's see. You guys still want me to break down a couple stocks? I really have to go, so let me follow up on Ford real quick. So there was a little bit of a sell-off. So as you guys can see here, we're still holding above the SMA indicator, and that's what I see can potentially act as a support. We're going to have to follow up with it and see if it could actually hold above $11. Another ticker that's being called out is ticker symbol X. So this is that United States Steel Corporation. Solid uptrend pattern. Again, it's right at the SMA indicator, and this is usually when it has a sell-off and when it's labeled as a good buy. This isn't, a stock suggestion by any means, but based off previous patterns on when it tends to be a good buy, it's when it's pretty close to this SMA indicator. So I would wait for the break above either like $41 to get the confirmation that it's actively trending up. Again, I want to make sure that the EMA indicator on the 180-day 4-hour chart, that's this blue line right here, I want it to be pointing up because what I want, so just pretend like there's an arrow, right here. Right now, X is not actively trending up, it's consolidating. I don't want it to consolidate. I don't want to waste my time, opportunity costs. I want it to actively be trending up. So I can set my alert here. You can see that the SMA indicator is acting as a resistance. I'll set my alert here, so when it breaks above this price point, I can take a position if I see value when I revisit the stock. Again, alerts are just so I can revisit the stock. It doesn't mean that I have to take a position right after I set the alerts. Be sure to set your alerts if you haven't done so already. So that is it, guys. I do have a meeting in about 13 minutes. I do have to go. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in and for the lives. So again, this was just for like a reminder, and I hope that like for all those that did experience red days, I asked the group, Tech with Solutions, and the people part of Learn Plan Profit, and you guys said that you guys ended the day green. So I'm super happy to hear that. But the overall market is red today, right? And I just wanted to make a video that even in these red days, one of the best recommendations that I can have for each and every single one of you is to understand that red days are inevitable, and then to take advantage of this opportunity when everything is down, and to start to nitpick because everything is down, it might offer the most potential for profit, for potential recovery. So be sure to do your due diligence, make sure to plan out your trade, and then nitpick 1 or 2 stocks for this entire week that is going to get you to your weekly goal. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I caught FB on the bottom dip. Jack can rep. I like that. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in. If you guys can do me the biggest favor, you guys 100% don't have to, but if you guys can, we'd really appreciate the thumbs up, letting me know that you guys like these live videos. And altogether, continue working hard, continue following your dreams, let your passion be what drives in your success. And guys, we're going to end this week on a green note, right? And one of the number one positions, or one of the number one rules that I can have for each and every single one of you, is one of the best positions that you can take is not taking one at all. So if you don't see value in anything and you see that everything is showing signs of a bearish pattern, then don't take a position. Take a step back, take the day off, and until patterns until the patterns or the stocks that you are watching make sense to you and that you like the patterns and the value that they provide, then choose to not take a position until they're actively trending up. So thank you guys again so much for everything that you guys do. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about my private group and how you can work with me on a daily basis, if you guys like the way that I explain things, invest like 30 seconds. Click that first link in the description and see how it is that me and my private group have been absolutely killing it in the stock market, and I would love to be a part of your success. Again, just take 30 seconds and let me know what you guys think, and I'd love to be a part of your success. Thank you guys again. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Okay, Google, play. This is like my new favorite song. Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys. Thank you guys again so much. Like always, let's make sure that we're in the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.